people say, oh, you broke the law and breached it. No, I didn't. That's why I pleaded not guilty to the charge. This is the charge of starting protests, organising protests, and then speaking at protests, attending. So judges and police, and I met with the police and judges before the first one started, and everybody was telling me, you have a right to protest. Right there, I have a right to protest. And also the right to speak, to express. Those are basic human values and rights. Yeah. The next thing, I'm charged, and I'm basically charged with attending protests and then speaking at protests to incite, people to protest too. And then the COVID-19 restrictions is where they really booked me, because then the bail conditions was I wasn't allowed to attend a protest. Well, that's funny. They told me you have a right to protest, so they took that right away. And then when I did wear a mask, and if anybody went out of their way to actually try and keep the COVID rules and not wear a mask there, I arrived in a car to speak so that I wouldn't be touching or be in, this physical distancing. I'd be out, and then straight off again. So they couldn't book me on that. So I could attend the protest, and then I spoke, keeping the COVID-19 rules. Well, about the fifth judge I had said, no, there were people in that crowd who didn't wear a mask. You're culpable and you're guilty for that. So I took the responsibility for people out there who didn't wear a mask. Yeah. Yeah. My lawyer lost his face, of course, and he just said that's not right, but the judge didn't care. Bang, Brian Tamaki, they wanted
because
to put
the Crown prosecutors. So obviously when the Crown prosecutors are pushing in, who's the Crown prosecutors? They work for the government, obviously. So and what I want to say is, why were a husband and wife locked up together in the same cell at Mount Eden prison? Because I'm married to Brian Tamaki. I spoke because they asked me up to speak. The people that were doing all the emceeing and the organising, they weren't locked up in Mount Eden prison. I was. So not that I feel sorry for us. Actually, I think it's probably a record. We're probably the first husband and wife team locked up together. So don't think we're crybaby. But I'm just saying to you, if it was you, how would you feel? So you don't have a right to speak. You don't have a right to attend a protest or a picnic. And I stayed in my bubble and went from my bubble straight to the stage. So I've been treated the same way as him, purely because I'm married to him. So
you lucky thing.
I did say jokingly, and I will say jokingly, I'll divorce him and we'll live in sin. And then they can't judge me for being married to him. I won't do it.
So you're saying, whatever I'm getting, you're getting?
Yes, because I'm banned from the domain. I'm not allowed to attend a protest. And yet I have obeyed all of those restrictions, and I was invited onto the stage. So I've been treated equal to him, but I don't really mind. But it's just for me to explain to you what my charges are. You might not care, and who cares? You might not care, but I care, because I do not want my fingerprints, my DNA, or my mugshot kept by the police. I am going to be fighting to have that destroyed, and actually I'd like to sue their assets.